Okay,
Right
ready?
then.
Yes? Okay.
Well, the tape is rolling, so.
Hello, I'm Simon Mercer. Welcome to Crave. This is the podcast and the video cast dedicated to all manner of entertainments that have captured the attention
Oh, yes.
of Steve McCabe and I lately. Steve.
Now,
Yes,
there has been entertainment.
there has indeed.
There's been entertainment, there's been drama.
All in one evening.
In the same event, even, yeah. Now, obviously, we're talking about Elton John. The first
Yes.
and possibly
Well,
the last.
It looked like it at one stage.
We don't know, of Elton John's concerts in Auckland. I mean, at one point we were wondering it might be his last ever.
Yeah, this is the farewell tour anyway.
Indeed.
A very long farewell.
Yeah.
And as I'm sure you've all seen, he had to leave the stage early. He
Yeah.
was unwell. He was led off stage.
Yeah.
Needed medical assistance during the 1 3/4 hours or so he
Yeah.
did. And there's been a lot of talk about that since. Both Steve and I were there. We're going to have a lot to
Absolutely.
say about that.
But I think we do need to talk. I think it's only fair that we talk about the music.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's that.
I think because the music was why we were there, and the music was remarkable. But nevertheless, we're going to dissect that
We
one
shall, we
at
shall.
great length.
We shall. It was, yeah, we'll leave that till we get to the meatier part of the discussion. Also, a film.
Absolutely, yes.
The Oscars have come and gone.
As they do.
And perhaps a surprise for some, a film that's only just arrived in New Zealand. It's been around overseas. The Best Picture winner was from Korea.
Best director as well.
And Best Director, Bong Joon-ho.
Absolutely.
A film called Parasite, a really scathing, I suppose you'd call it a black comedy. There may be different words you could use to describe it.
Yep.
I suspect Steve and I are not going to have exactly the same view on this, so that will be a good discussion.
Yeah, qualified praise for that one. I
Okay,
think.
all right.
Qualified praise.
Now, you just back to music for a second.
Absolutely.
We're going to also talk about Elton John. Another big name is Queen, and you saw them on their most recent trip.
And again, there should be qualified praise there too.
Oh.
And then we'll go back to you for a bit more film.
Yes, we're popping around the scene.
Absolutely, but this time we're getting a French romantic.
Yes, well, we're a foreign film from Korea, a foreign film from France. It's a romantic comedy called La Belle Epoque. I really enjoyed it.
Yes.
Even though it's a romantic comedy, and you know there's a formula to romantic comedies, it's the telling of the story.
Isn't it just?
Yeah.
And then just to wrap things up,
yes,
just to leave a sour taste in everybody's mouth, we've got Birds of Prey. But let's start with the quality entertainment. And seriously, I think that's where we need to start here, isn't it?
Yeah. So we're talking about Sir Elton John.
Yeah.
This is a farewell tour that's started in late 2018.
Wow.
It's meant to finish at the end of this year in London. Something like 300 shows. That's one hell of a farewell. He got to Auckland, the first of his 3 scheduled shows in Auckland at Mount Smart Stadium.
And let's be fair, he's already played in Dunedin.
Yes.
And in Napier.
And then jetted off, didn't he, to the Oscars in LA?
Oh yes, he did, didn't he? Yes. Just nipped off to pick up a quick cheeky Oscar like you do.
Yes.
Then jetted back over
That's
here.
right. And perhaps unsurprisingly, Steve, quite early on in his set, he says, I'm not too well.
Yeah. I mean, quite frankly, at 72, 73 years old, with that kind of schedule, who wouldn't be? I was talking to a friend this afternoon who is an exercise physiotherapist. She specialises in recovery.
Right.
And she was saying, at his age, he should be going to a city, playing no more than 3 shows in a week.
Yes.
He should be sitting down with his feet up and a cup of tea between shows. At his age, he said, that's what I would be advising him, she said.
Yeah.
And I think she's probably about right.
Yeah.
But as you said,
he's
all over the place.
Yeah, he is. So as Steve said, we need to talk about the music. There's lots of things that happened about him being unwell, requiring attention during the show, and eventually having to cut it short. And people, if they were expecting, and if they'd looked at set lists from earlier in the tour, they would have realised that probably he was going to play around about 25 songs, and it was probably going to be about 3 hours worth.
2.5, 3 hours.
2.5 to 3.
Yeah.
That didn't happen.
No, it
they
didn't.
got about, what was it, 1 3/4?
I'd say about 1 3/4 all up, yeah. About
So he got 16 songs?
16 songs I think he got through. And let's look at the songs he played.
Yes.
We have got Tiny Dancer.
Mm-hmm.
We have got Border Song, which, as he pointed out, Aretha Franklin covered.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't get much higher praise than that, do you? We did get, unfortunately, we also got Candle in the Wind, which It's a dreadful song, but he would have got lynched if he hadn't played it.
We've got other songs like Philadelphia Freedom, Benny and the Jets,
which he opened with, yes.
And some of the Love Lies Bleeding.
Oh, wasn't that incredible?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh dear Lord, I mean, it's a long song on the record.
Yes.
But he spun this out, this and Leave On.
Yeah, yeah.
Spun these out to like 10-minute rock wig outs.
Yeah, yeah.
Man, they were amazing.
So, and the thing that really struck me about this was he must have decided, this is my thought process after Steve, he must have decided, okay, I'm not super well, I'm going to tell everyone I'm not super well. What am I going to do? Am I going to throw myself into it and give it the best I can and see how long I last?
Yeah.
Or not, or just try and coast and try and get through my 3 hours or whatever. Yeah. And he took the former decision, and I think the absolutely right one, because he went for it.
Well, what would you have preferred to see, let's be fair? Do you want to see Elton John being Elton John for an hour and 3/4?
Yeah.
Or do you want to see Reg doing a half-ass going through the motions show for 3 hours?
Yeah.
Do you want to see some amazing songs
or
a load of okay songs?
Yeah. There's no contest in that.
No, there isn't really, is there? When you frame it like that.
No. And I would, you know what, I'll be honest with you, I've always liked his great songs. I would not have called myself a huge Elton John fan.
Yeah, yeah.
I really enjoyed what he gave that night. It felt to me that he was really into it. He was really committed to the songs and to his performance. You could, I think, having told us early on his voice, that he wasn't super well, there were a couple of high notes that he just let the band get there for him. On songs like Rocket Man, I noted.
So John Marn was his percussionist and backing vocalist, and there are moments when Marn's sort of like, he's hitting the high notes that Elton just... To be fair, I don't think it's even an illness this year. I think he's 72 years old this year.
Yeah, probably. But I thought his voice was really good, really strong. It just felt... he's got one of those voices that, you think of him maybe as a pop rock singer, but when you hear him live, he's got that soul in there.
There's a lot going on in that.
There's a lot going in that voice, and the band was great, and I
think we have to mention the band in particular. I mean, first of all, the guitarist Davy Johnston.
Yeah.
For, like I say, songs like Leave On, which is just a nice little piano.
Yeah.
It was a great song.
Yeah.
But if you just listen to it casually, you hear a bit of piano, a bit of singing, and you move on.
Yeah.
Right. On stage, it was a 10-minute workout.
Yeah.
With seriously rocking guitars.
Yeah.
It was phenomenal, and Elton underpinning it with his piano. I mean, the guy's knackered.
Yeah.
And even when he's not singing, he's working hard.
Yeah.
Really is.
Yeah.
And these songs were astonishingly well
really
done.
Good. So you knew you were getting more than you would get if you'd been sitting at home listening to it on the turntable or whatever device you were using.
Absolutely.
And you got this a freshness of the approach to the telling of the song.
Yeah.
And it really made for a live event.
Yeah.
That you were there for something a bit special.
In fact, here's something a bit weird. I've seen video bits from the show that we were at.
Yes.
And if you watch those videos, his voice doesn't hold up as well on video.
Okay.
You start to notice. It makes you realise just how caught up in the show you get. It was such an event.
Yeah, that's an interesting observation. So watching a video, you're like one step removed.
Yes.
But when you're there, you're amidst people. You've got the electricity in the air, the emotion in the air, and you're just...
More so than you do get at many much younger bands' concerts.
Yeah, I think that's probably correct.
It's phenomenal.
I thought so. I was really impressed by what he did give us.
Yes. And again, you've got one of my favourite bits. We have to mention the only rock and roll tambourine player you'll ever see. I mean, the bloke does rock and roll timpani.
This is John Mann again. You're talking
No, this is the other guy, Ray Cooper.
I beg your pardon.
The guy all the way
at the very back. Yes.
I mean, he's been doing percussion for various bands for decades. The very first one I was on TV, he was doing backup percussion for Raikuda.
Oh, okay.
At a Japanese festival. They also had a Japanese artist called Kino Shokichi, and they also had the Dubliners.
Okay.
And at the back of it, there was Ray Cooper. Okay. The guy's everywhere. He's barking mad.
Yeah, but he brings a certain energy and
vivacity
to it. And,
yes, he does.
Yeah, it was really good.
He plays tambourine with more urgency than anybody else. Because there's a whole band, and they're all wearing suits and ties. You've got a drummer with a suit and tie on. Look, nice little tie clip.
Yes.
Razor and gloves.
Yeah.
He had workout gloves on. I mean, this is a very, very polished band.
Very.
Which is what was required because it was an extraordinarily well done show. It really, really was. And we got amazing songs performed with astonishing fire and passion. Until. Yeah. I think we need to tell the story, don't we?
Yeah, we do. So, first of all, he gives us a warning. I think it's the second or third song.
Way early.
I've had this thing, walking pneumonia.
Yeah.
I'm going to do my best. We go along seemingly okay, and then there's,
and he was sounding amazing.
He was sounding real good. But there were perhaps a couple of little signs that he was just faltering. I noticed a couple of times he kept on sort of going like this with his nose, as if he had to clear his brain or something. And then, as it turned out to be, like the third or fourth song before the end, it was quite a major stop. He finished.
Leave on, I think he just played.
Yeah, and he's just turned around, back to his piano, sort of hunched over a little bit, looking a little bit. He just sat there for a moment or two, and then we saw these medical staff coming on. At least, 2 or 3 maybe.
Well, here's
paramedic.
This is something that's worth mentioning.
Yeah.
I need to call out the NZ Herald for very, very bad journalism here.
Okay.
Because our intrepid guest reviewer, Debbie,
yes,
was about 5 or 6 rows from the front.
Okay.
And I was talking to her about this afterwards.
Yes.
And what she told me she saw, and we weren't that far from the stage, but she was really close. She saw somebody came on to talk to him.
Yep.
And then the green uniform of a St John ambulance.
Yep. Yes, you could see that.
Paramedic.
Yes.
Came on, was talking to him, and somebody who we will assume at this point is one of the tour medics, one of the GP tour medic came on, took blood pressure. It appeared.
Yes.
And they conferred for a while. The Herald reported that there were stretchers on stage, and Debbie has, and like I say, she was very close to the front. She has no remembering of that. It's entirely possible one could have been off in the wings.
Yes.
But it was later reported that he was carried off stage.
No,
nonsense.
That's what,
absolute nonsense.
Certainly wasn't carried off stage.
No, he was walked off.
He was.
So
he goes off.
And well, no, if you remember at this point, they sort of mopped his brow and he played Candle in the Wind.
Yes. And let's just talk about that for a second. As you say, it's a schmaltzy song, accompanied by these huge images of Marilyn from back in the day.
Was it actually Marilyn?
I thought it was. I think it wasn't.
My guess was that was an actress.
Oh, I thought it was.
Well, whatever. It was clearly meant
someone who was meant to be Marilyn Monroe.
And do you know who it wasn't?
Who?
Princess Di.
Correct.
Mercifully.
Yes.
I would have walked out at that point.
And I just, knowing at that stage, we all knew he wasn't well, right? And he was going to battle on. And although his voice faltered, it was a little rough around the edges in that song. Actually, to me, that gave the song, because it is schmaltzy, but it gave the song an edge of something a little more real.
That's a really good point, because it is a saccharine.
Yeah, and it made it a bit more poignant. The man who'd written this piece of music about this icon was himself struggling to deliver the story.
Yes.
And to me, that, he wasn't well. I felt sorry for that, but it made it a slightly different
performance. That's a really interesting point. I hadn't picked up on that.
Anyway, so he got through that.
Yes, he did.
Then there was if I got this right, Steve, there was another break because there was a costume change.
Now, here's the thing.
Yes.
Was that scheduled?
I don't know. Because normally in Elton John's show, would you not expect 1 or 2 costume changes?
Well, they seem within character for someone of his
reputation
and persona.
Yes.
But if you look at, say, acts like Taylor Swift, she'll do half a dozen costume changes, but the show carries on without her.
Yes.
There's something to keep you distracted while she's off the stage. The lights went down. There was no audio.
No.
We didn't know if he was coming back on stage at that point. So I reckon, this is conjecture, completely conjecture. I reckon he went off stage and he talked to the band, he talked to his manager, he talked to his medic, and they said, how are we going to do this?
Yeah.
What's next?
Yeah.
So they came back up, if you remember then, after about 3 minutes, with no communication to the audience.
No.
We didn't know what was going on.
No, we did not.
They then started playing Love Lies Bleeding.
Yeah, with a big orchestral, magnificent introduction.
Yeah.
Yeah. And of course that song contained long instrumental passages.
Yes, it did.
So it wasn't heavy on vocal, that song.
No, it wasn't.
And so in the back of your mind you're thinking, is this part of his strategy that he's choosing some material to sort of just give his voice a chance to recover?
Makes you wonder, doesn't it?
You just wondered about it. Got through that song. It was a tour de force in many ways from the band. It was a great performance.
On the record, it's phenomenal.
Right.
It's a big, long, it's orchestral.
Yeah.
It's like a little mini rock opera.
Yeah.
It's an amazing song. And like you say, the band went crazy.
Yeah.
Really worked out. And it gives him, I mean, he's playing like a madman. Madman across the water, obviously. But he's playing a piano fool, but he got to rest his voice for a while. But he's still working hard. And this is when he's got pneumonia.
Yeah.
Who's flogging his guts out on stage. So we got through that.
Yes.
And then it's time to play Daniel.
And it didn't. Right, he tried. He opened his mouth.
Well, if you remember, at one, I think it was before Candle in the Wind, he actually said, "I'm struggling here.
Yeah,
I don't know how much I've got left.
Yeah,
but I'll do what I can."
Yeah, he did say that. And so when he tried to sing the first line of Daniel, pretty much all that came out was a hoarse sort of a whisper. And
in fact, Debbie, our intrepid guest reviewer, did actually capture this on video, and so here it is.
Okay.
So there we knew straight away, didn't we, Steve, when we heard him try to sing that opening line of Daniel, that was it.
Yeah.
And we just heard how he had to announce it to the audience, and he got to his feet, and he was he was overcome with emotion of the moment.
He genuinely looked like he was sobbing.
Quite distraught.
And I have to say, to the internal credit of the audience, nothing but applause.
Yeah. I mean, people might have had some thoughts afterwards, but in that moment, how could you not feel this guy had given you all he had to give?
Yes.
And what more can you ask of someone if they are singing until they can sing no more?
And that's literally what he did.
And that is exactly what happened. Then you can only stand and applaud him.
Yeah.
Later on, you may have some thoughts about whether you had value for money and whether you were shortchanged by a promoter or a ticket seller or whatever. And that's, of course, what happened in the ensuing days.
One or two opportunistic muppets have tried to claim that they deserve a refund, and they are wrong.
Well, but I think it. I should also say, we should say, to be, because we're very direct, honest, and transparent here at Crave, that you and I were able to attend in a professional capacity, and we did not pay for our tickets.
No,
we were
don't.
given review tickets. So. If we had forked out several $100s, perhaps, maybe we'd have a different opinion. I don't know, but I think that you can't discount. He gave all he had to give. It wasn't as long as perhaps your expectations were.
But at the same time, you've got an hour and 3/4 of bloody good entertainment.
You did.
You missed one or two of the big songs. You didn't get Crocodile Rock.
Yeah.
You didn't get Saturday Night's Alright for Fighting.
Yeah, you didn't get a Goodbye Yellow Brick Road, obviously. My Song. There were a few other songs towards the end.
The Bitch Is Back.
The Bitch Is Back. But
you
got a lot of good stuff.
You got some amazing stuff.
Yeah.
And seriously, he would have been entirely entitled to turn to the audience and say, "What do you want, blood?" Because seriously, he was. I mean, look, let's be serious about this. He's unwell. He's sick, and as part of my day job, when I'm not doing this,
yes.
At my work, one of my functions is a union rep.
Okay.
And I'm forever telling my comrades and brothers and sisters in the union, if you're not well, don't go to work.
Yeah.
Don't make a fool of yourself. Don't make yourself sick. Now, admittedly, they're not making I've seen figures of $1.8 million a night.
Yes.
That show is making in profit. But even so, you have to look after your health. It doesn't matter how much money you're getting paid.
Yeah.
You have to take care of your health, and it would be unfair to expect a man of his age with pneumonia to do any more than he did.
No, I think that's right. But let's just very quickly, I think, so we're giving him a huge tick for the performance.
Oh, most
and
assuredly.
the concert. There's been a lot of talk about consumer rights here. And as you pointed out to me just before we recorded, Steve, there was no promise in writing that the show was going to contain X number of songs or go for X number of minutes.
No.
But this tour has been going on for a little while now, and people had probably a reasonable expectation of the material that they were going to expect. So later on, they may well have felt, okay, I didn't get what I paid for. Some people might have had that thought.
Yeah.
And there's been some discussion with Consumer Institute and others in the media in New Zealand for a day or two now over this. And the view's been put that, well, there's probably a legal right, or to at least go back to your ticket seller and claim some compensation. I think there's been, and as in the hours before this recording, that's been further discussed, and I think there's been some agreement that some degree of paying back may occur. I don't know the details of that, but
that's interesting.
Yeah, but the other question might have been, you wake up in the morning, you really know you're not well. What do you do?
Yeah.
Do you cancel the whole thing, knowing people have possibly not only spent a lot of money, they've flown in other parts of New Zealand, maybe from outside New Zealand, they've booked accommodation. What are you going to do? Tell them to just go home? It's a difficult call to make.
Well, I'll give you a real world example. A couple that I know who saw Elton John 30 years ago in Auckland when they first got married, are celebrating their 30th wedding anniversary this summer. And they had tickets for Tuesday night.
Right.
And that was going to be part of their 30th wedding anniversary celebrations. And he's now said he's rescheduling the Tuesday night concert for Wednesday night.
Yes.
And of this couple, the husband has a work commitment that he can't get out of on the Wednesday night, and they're gutted. So there'll be other people who, as you say, have taken time off work. They've booked flights, they've booked accommodation, they've made plans around a show that's already been rescheduled once. Let's not forget this. These shows got rescheduled when they could fit a few more dates in elsewhere. They pushed these dates back later into February. He should have played a couple of weeks ago.
Right.
So it's already been rescheduled once. He's now rescheduled a second time. As Debbie pointed out the other day, if you had tickets for Thursday, how would you be feeling right now? Do we think he's going to... I mean, first of all, will he actually play on Wednesday?
Yes.
I think more than likely he'll give it a go.
Yeah.
Will he complete the show on Wednesday?
Yes.
He's under medication.
Yeah. And what would he have left in the tank for the next night?
Yeah, on Thursday, is it even worth going?
Yeah.
If I had a Thursday ticket, I'd be really nervous about that one. Now, to be fair, this isn't meant to be taken as cynicism. We do wish Elton the very best.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, the guy's sick. You can't wish him anything but the best.
Yes, that's sure. Well, over the next day or two here, we will see this all unfold. But for now, I think we are here to review a concert we did see.
Yes.
And it was great.
Yeah. I'm going to mention one little thing that I didn't like, though.
Okay, go on.
One big reservation. And those of you who are watching this on the video will see that I'm holding up the podcast. Listeners won't realise these catalogues were on our seats.
Yes.
The official merchandise catalogues.
Yes.
Now, these are seats which, if we paid for them, would have been well over $250 each.
Okay.
And yet they're then for upsellers merch. And you can buy things like a through-the-wall mug for $30. You can buy an embroidered cap for $50. A lithograph, as a poster, for $20. Joggers.
Oh, okay.
Jogging pants for $100. Black zip jacket for $150. That's when you've already paid $250. Up to $500 some folk paid.
Yeah.
And they're still upselling you merch. That left a bitter taste in the mouth.
Okay, fair enough.
But then, having said that, most people just bung those on the floor
I think they did.
and just enjoyed a fantastic show. So we shall move on from that.
Yeah, but anyway, so Elton John, hope you're going to get better and finish your tour. Hey, so I remember we a time or two back, Steve, you and I were discussing our possible favourites and who would win and who should win over the Oscars, and I remember you saying, as long as Joaquin Phoenix doesn't win for the Joker, or words to that effect, and he did.
Yeah. I make no claims to prescience here at all, because I was willing to stake what little remains of my reputation on 1917 winning Best Picture.
Yeah,
shows how little I know.
Well, that was a great film.
Yes, it was.
And the film that did win was the one that's not long been released here in New Zealand. This is the film Parasite, by the Korean director we mentioned earlier, Bong Joon-ho. And okay, this will be an interesting discussion because I think we're not quite on the same page on this.
Not quite.
But that's okay. It's a black comedy.
Yes.
It's a story of a rich family who are the Parks.
Yes.
And a poor family who are the Kims.
Yes.
And the story, I'm not going to give too much away, but basically the Kims, they're poor, but they're smart, they're street smart.
Yeah.
They live in a sub-basement in a big Korean city. They've got an eye out for the main chance.
Yeah.
And the son happens to stumble upon an opportunity to inveigle himself into this very wealthy family.
Yes.
He does it, and one by one, other members of his family sneak and trick their way into the good books of this wealthy family.
Yes.
And what ensues is an unraveling of that relationship.
Okay, that's a very delicate way of doing it. Yes, I like that.
With very devastating results.
Yes, yes.
Broadly speaking, and this is, if you've read about this film, isn't it, Steve? It's been often portrayed as a really quite a scathing commentary on rich and poor and social class. That's how it's been framed.
That's one reading of it.
That's one reading of it. It's also very, very much about family bonds. Both within both of these families.
I'll go with that too. Yeah.
But so I really did like it a lot. You're qualified, so maybe I should hear what your qualifications are. Maybe that's a good place for us to go to.
Well, I mean, it's several different films.
Yep.
Okay.
I agree.
And again, without giving too much away, it starts off down, as you're talking, there's this very, very interesting, very, very well delineated, nicely acted out. And let's face it, I mean, working in a language that neither of us speaks a word of.
Yeah.
And yet we didn't even care about the subtitles. The acting, as far as we can tell, was fantastic.
Yeah.
Not a language that we're familiar with, but the story is very, very deftly told.
Yes.
The characters all seem to be the actors have wonderful screen presences. Even when you rely on subtitles, you love watching them.
Yeah.
It's beautiful, the interplay, as you say, the way that the one family sort of inveigles its way into the other family is very, very skillfully done. It's an interesting story, very, very well told.
Yes.
But it goes off in some unexpected and very, very bizarre and possibly troubling little side.
Well, tell me more about that. Actually, just
we're avoiding spoilers here.
Yeah, but up until that point where it does that, right? This film, because the Kim family are on the make.
Oh yeah.
It almost feels like a bit of a film, like a heist movie or a scam movie, like Ocean's 11 or The Sting, or it's like one family is going to trap another family. It has that sort of. That was how I took it.
Yeah.
And I think it did change its nature quite significantly. So
Yes.
where did it go wrong or askew for you?
It was when it took that rather abrupt left turn, and you know the bit I'm talking about, after the party.
Okay.
After the first party. The illicit party.
Yes.
Because we're trying to avoid spoilers in this, because there's a lot that unravels.
Yes.
Obviously, if they'd simply become what they wanted to be, it would have been a much more boring story.
Yes.
It had to go somewhere.
Yeah.
But I wasn't convinced that the development that your man Bong took it on worked completely.
Okay.
It was too much of a sort of a skidding, swerving left turn. There's one point where one of the Kims becomes a driver.
Yes.
For Mr. Park, and he remarks upon how he corners very smoothly.
Yes.
And I felt the film didn't corner particularly smoothly.
Okay, well.
It felt like we're sort of cruising along, being sucked into this world, and then suddenly it's like, over here now. I didn't really like the way it did that.
Okay. Well, I liked it, but
I could tell,
yeah. And it was that element, I guess, of keeping me guessing on the back foot, and I don't mind being put on the back foot where I don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
But you're right that it after that initial setup, the film veers. We'll use your verb. It becomes a part more of an out-and-out thriller in some respects.
Okay.
There's tension.
Yep.
There's then you've got a another reviewer who I've read called Marie told me that, and she's written about this, that it almost became almost like a Tarantino at the end with the way some violence was brought in. I thought that was apt to a certain extent at the end there.
To a degree, yes.
Okay. Anyway, I quite like that because although the style, the genre almost seemed to shift, the idea that there was this clash or this coming together in a very uncomfortable way of these two levels of society.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, that's the level it works on.
Yeah, and it was quite sharp and bitter at times with the observations about what. There's one little sequence where I think it's the father of the poor family, the Kim family. I think it was the father, might have been a mother. Excuse me if I've got that right.
Yeah.
Is saying, when you're rich, you can afford to be nice.
Yes.
So there was a discussion around that.
Yes.
They don't have to worry about scraping to survive and fighting to get your next.
Yeah. Yes, I remember that. Yeah, she's nice because she's rich.
Yeah. So I thought there was a lot of really good social observation. It's a different culture than ours, but some of those themes are pretty universal. A little bit, some humor as well.
Definitely.
Some black humor, I was drawn along. I didn't mind the veering, and I had a really interesting, just a little touch at the end, which obviously I'm not going to tell you what it was, but there's a little perhaps a double ending there at the very end, which kind of shifted the sense of where the story was ending, which was quite nice. I actually would recommend it a lot. I enjoyed it the same. You know, we talked about that film Roma.
Yes.
Which was set in Mexico, and it was in Spanish language, and that was quite an epic. And this was an epic in a different sort of way, but also a look at another culture, exploring some universal themes. I thought it was pretty good.
But again, I had the same feeling of that of rather than being very, very, very heavily plot driven, it was being drawn into the rhythms of a family. Roma did it less successfully, in my opinion.
Yeah. I
like the way that Parasite did it, that it pulled you into their world.
Yeah.
I think it worked better on that level,
Okay, so...
I remain unconvinced that it's Best Picture Oscar.
Oh, do you? Yeah. I thought the story was of how the poor family... I tell you, sorry, we have to be so careful how we frame this, Steve, but I just want to say one more thing about this story, because you are led down the path of seeing the ingenuity and the cleverness of this family who are battling to stay alive.
Yes.
Right? And it looks like the other family, the rich family, it all comes easily to them. It's on life's put to them on a platter.
Yeah. I mean, if you remember the shopping scene, for example, is almost, but not quite, rather on the nose.
Yeah. And then there's a sequence where you realise that for all their ingenuity and cleverness, this poor family is always going to be up against it.
Yes, another scene you're talking about.
Things just unpack in an awful way. And that was a really powerful scene. It involves some bad weather, I'll say that. And all of a sudden, it's like the charade of what they're trying to do has been ripped from them, and they're plunged back into the misery of their daily life. And I found that a very powerful sequence. The contrast between where they were trying to get and where they actually were.
And I have to say, I think you've done very, very well at really, really unpacking that film without without getting into too many spoilers. I think that was actually quite admirable there, Simon.
Thanks very
much. I think you to be applauded on that one.
Anyway, so you're not going to tell people not to see it, are you?
Oh no, absolutely not. No. I think it was good. I'll be honest, I think there's a modicum of Emperor's New Clothes here.
Oh, okay.
A little bit. It was good, but not as good as it's been made out to be.
Wow.
Whereas you clearly are quite sold.
Yeah, no, I was. I really was drawn into it. I enjoyed it very much. I like a good foreign film, and we're going to come to another one later on. But before we get there, Steve.
Oh yeah. That was seamless.
Oh, I tell you, that's why they pay us the big bucks. Steve, we're going to bounce back to music because you've had a bit of a run. Not only did you see Sir Elton John.
Yes.
Not that long before that, you went off to see Queen, for goodness sake.
The week before, at the same venue, even. Now, and oddly oddly enough, the parallels don't quite end there, of course.
No.
These are two acts who are piggybacking on the success of films about them.
Indeed.
Right?
Yeah.
And just as I think most people will agree that Rocketman was the superior film.
Yes.
I think that's fair to say, right?
Yeah.
I would say also that Elton John was a superior concert.
Okay.
Now, Queen at Mount Smart Stadium. 2 years ago, I saw the same lineup at Spark Arena.
Yes.
And about 2 years before that, I saw Adam Lambert, the new singer for Queen, on his own.
Right. Okay.
At the Town Hall in Auckland.
Okay.
And I remember at the time thinking, he's a great singer, he's got rubbish material.
Right.
And he needs the songs.
Yeah, well,
right? So now he's got the songs.
Enter Queen, yes.
Yeah. I mean, what better songs could you ask for?
Yes.
And well, I saw him 2 years ago, and again this time, he makes it very, very clear. He says quite explicitly, let's address the pink elephant in the room. I'm not Freddie Mercury.
Yeah.
I can't try to be.
Yeah.
I'm not going to bother trying to be.
No.
I'm going to bring my own take to the songs.
Yeah.
The problem is that he is following Freddie Mercury, and Freddie's inescapable. Freddie's so inescapable, they have him on bloody projector screens during the show.
Right.
They invoke Freddie Mercury numerous times.
Yeah.
They won't let him lie.
No.
And then
That's unfair on Adam Lambert.
it's unfair on Adam Lambert because let's face it, anybody would be found wanting next to Freddie Mercury. And in particular Adam Lambert, who has got the vocal range.
Yes, yes.
Because remember, Queen had Paul Rodgers briefly.
Okay.
From
I hadn't
Free.
recalled that actually. Okay. Yeah.
He very, very briefly in the 2000s.
Okay.
And for a very, very brief interlude, they even got George Michael to sing. I think 1 or 2 shows. It was a very, very short run little thing. And the problem with either of those two is they've got a very narrow little range. George Michael could do the more pop and the more, let's face it, the more camp stuff.
Yeah.
Paul Rodgers could do the really muscular stuff.
Yes.
Adam Lambert can do both.
Yeah, yeah.
He's got the range for it.
And
What
the power.
he's not got is a stage presence.
Oh, okay.
He is, rather than being someone who can perform on stage, he will sort of clomp around a bit, find a spot to sing in, throw the odd shape, and that's it.
Okay. My question hearing you say that though, is if he's doing that and he's got a big picture of Freddie behind him.
No, not all the time.
Oh,
not all the time,
okay.
to be fair, no.
But it's that presence must be there all the time.
Oh, he's inescapable. I mean, he even invokes Freddie's name himself.
Yeah.
And that's the...
So he's
not to hide him to nothing.
I think they should make a decision to either bring, if they're going to keep invoking Freddie Mercury, to have a holographic performance.
Yeah.
Or if you want to have an actual singer, say this is the new Queen.
Yeah.
And Freddie was absolutely fantastic. We love him dearly, but we're not going to keep bringing him back to the audience's mind because it's almost unfair not only on Adam Lamb but also on the audience because you're saying to the audience, who are you looking at here? Who's in your mind? Is it Freddie or is it Adam?
Yeah. The king is dead, long live the king.
Yeah.
But they're not quite willing to make that clean break.
Yeah.
And so Adam Lambert is a good singer. So when he's singing I Want to Ride My Bicycle, he's on he's I think full size Harley Davidson at the front of the stage.
Right.
And he's got that very, very, very knowing camp edge to his voice that Freddie Mercury also did beautifully. It's entertaining.
Yeah.
He just sits on the bike and sings as the bike slowly rotates. He doesn't bring anything to it.
Yeah.
And then he hops off the bike and he starts doing Fat Bottom Girls.
Right.
Which again is a lovely, big, powerful, muscular rock song, and he's got the pipes to pull that one off as well.
Yeah.
But he doesn't. He's not quite there. He's not got it in the same way that. Let's face it, Freddie Mercury. So the problem then is you can't review that show without inevitable references to Freddie Mercury. When you do that, all of Adam Lambert's fans are up in arms because how dare you say that he's not as good as Freddie? Well, he said it himself.
And which brings us, of course, to this other point you'd like to talk about, was how these hardcore, dedicated Adam Lambert fans get rather upset.
Oh, the Glamberts.
The Glamberts.
Oh, they do get upset.
If you don't like their man.
And the thing is, it's not that I didn't like him.
Yeah.
I've never said he wasn't very good. But what I kept getting was, how dare you say that Adam isn't wonderful? I said, well, I didn't say he wasn't wonderful. I pointed out strengths and weaknesses because that's what a concert reviewer does.
Yes.
But Adam is always good. But the concert I went to, this is what I saw. You weren't there.
Yeah.
So when I see in your comments that that your location is New Jersey.
Yeah.
I'm willing to lay money that you weren't at the concert I was at. So don't tell me that my opinion, I suppose, is well, that's just subjective. Well, obviously that's the nature of a review.
Yes.
You're now telling me, as a matter of fact, as a matter of objective fact, Adam is always wonderful. No, that's nonsense. And also, and also, what other concerts have you been to? I'm going to flatter myself that I've probably been to a wider range of concerts.
I think that's a fair comment.
This year, than these people have been to. You get the feeling there's probably been like half of Adam Lambert concerts, and that's it. That's all they've ever seen.
Yeah.
I mean, so look at, say, I don't know, your man Dan out of Imagine Dragons. Now there's a performer. Man doesn't stop moving for the entire show. How, I don't know where he gets his energy from. Brian May is a more animated performer on stage than Adam Lambert is.
Okay.
Bruno Mars, Taylor Swift, any of these people, that's a show, that's a performance. Adam Lambert's not there, but he has got the voice.
Yeah.
He's absolutely got the voice for Queen.
Cool. And we better say, we're remiss not to have said this earlier, but the review that you're talking about, of course, can be read on our website, cravepodcast.com.
Absolutely, and there's also a load of photographs there as well from that show, and also from the Elton John show that's got your review as well.
Yeah, cool.
But also, just go back to Queen just for a second. Just one point I would make is they can't even decide his status.
Oh.
Because it's badged as Queen plus Adam Lambert.
Right.
So, is he or is he not?
Yeah.
Is he a member of Queen or isn't he?
That almost suggests like there's going to be another guy to come along at some point to have a go.
They were briefly Queen plus Paul Rodgers.
Right.
I suspect that while it looks like they're sort of keeping him at arm's length, as you say, I think that what they're trying to do there is, if they badge themselves as Queen, we'll get you and me to go.
Yes, yeah.
And if they mention Adam Lambert, they suddenly open up a whole other audience that they wouldn't have got otherwise. And so long as they both get equal billing, it's
I think it's trying to have too much, quid both ways, and it's probably not going to work.
No, it's not. All I know is they've still got Roger Taylor and Brian May, two astonishingly talented singers, musicians and songwriters. Brian May remains one of the most amazing guitarists you will ever hear.
Okay.
And the songs they've got, and they've got the right man to sing them. They really have. For all my criticisms of Adam Lambert, he is the right man to be singing those songs. He's really, really good.
Yeah, his voice is great. Great, good stuff. Okay. Whew. Okay, next.
We're off to you this time, aren't we? So not content with watching films in Korean, our polyglottal film reviewer.
Yes. Went to see a French film.
Yes.
Really on the spur of the moment. It's called La Belle Epoque.
Oh yeah.
It's a romantic comedy, and as such, I suppose all romantic comedies, follow a certain arc. You kind of think you're going to know where you're going to end up. I'm not going to give, obviously, the story away too much. You're not going to be necessarily surprised by the ending, but the telling of this romantic comedy is really beguiling and entertaining, and it's quite sharp in its story and its script and its performances. Basically, the premise is quite an interesting one.
Go on.
You've got a middle-aged, or maybe more than middle-aged couple, Victor and Marianne. Victor played by Danielle Auteuil and Marianne played by Fanny Ardant. And their marriage is in some difficulty, and their son knows.
And we're talking about 70-year-old.
They're mid-ish 60s at least.
Look at the actors here. They're both 70 years old.
So they're on a little bit. So the son comes up with a scheme. This is paraphrasing just for the sake of simplicity. He knows a talented French director who has a company that will put on a production that you, as a member of the public, will go along to them and you'll say, Steve, you'll say, oh, when I was back in Salford, I had this fantastic night out at a pub, and this band played, and I met this wonderful girl or something or other, and they'll recreate the pub in Salford. They'll put extras in it and people in costumes of the time.
What a bizarre premise.
They'll get people to play the friends that you knew at that time. You will go there as you are now.
Yeah.
And you will sit down, and the tableau that you have told them will play out in front of you. And you'll be drawn back into the story. It's a bit like something called playback theatre, which is a sort of a theatre sport type thing.
Oh, okay. I've not heard of this.
Victor, the husband, who's estranged, says, I want to go back to when I first met my wife.
Right.
In 1974 or something like that. And so the director gives you the tableau,
right?
And he chooses a very beautifully talented young woman to play the young wife of Victor.
Mm-hmm.
And so Victor is meeting this young woman again, and I think I can say this because it's early enough in the story, falling in love with the young woman.
I kind of saw that coming, yeah.
Yeah, you could see that coming.
But as you said earlier, suddenly it's not about the destination, is it?
Yeah, it's not about the destination. So there are these, that's probably enough to say about the story, but I was thinking afterwards if the Americans had told the story, it might have had a different feel to it, but the French there's a lovely, sharp, snappy dialogue. It moves along really quickly. The actors are great.
Yeah.
There's some good laughter, some good pathos. I really recommend it. There was quite a full cinema when I saw it, and I could tell that people were just enjoying it immensely, and I did. So it's.
I think you're right. That it sounds like a very French story somehow.
Yeah, and
I don't know why a 70-year-old bloke falling for a 24-year-old woman. It's a Frenchman's fantasy all over it, really.
Maybe not just a Frenchman, but anyway, yeah. So
moving to the films.
So La Belle Epoque.
Yeah.
I would recommend it very much so.
Right.
And you got another film to talk about.
Well, I'm glad you didn't say recommend.
Oh, okay.
Because recommending isn't going to happen here, right? So do you remember a couple of years ago we saw an absolute abomination of a film?
I know what you're going to say.
Called Suicide
Squad.
Yeah, Korea Suicide Squad. It wasn't though, was it? Sadly, it should have been. But it was rubbish, and there was one redeeming feature in it.
Are you going to tell me it was Harley Quinn?
Margot Robbie, absolutely.
Margot Robbie.
She was, even though I thought she was treated shabbily in the film.
Yeah.
I think the way that Margot Robbie was treated in that film really bothered me. I'm just gonna check the name of the director of that film, because I think the way that he handled her was nasty. Okay. It was leering.
That's right. There was a very gratuitous buttock shot or something like that, wasn't there?
It lingered on her arse way more than it had any business doing.
Yeah.
It's like every shot would result with her walking away from the camera, and the camera right at arse level.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, Margot Robbie has a very agreeable arse.
Okay.
But it does not need to be the focus of every shot she's in.
No. She's actually quite a good actress, as it
she's a phenomenal. This is the thing. She's probably going to be turned out to be one of the best actresses of her generation. She's an amazing talent.
Yeah.
And then she does this.
Okay.
So when she was in Suicide Squad, she was actually quite good, because the one redeeming feature of that film was the ensemble cast, and so she popped up, she did a bit of entertaining stuff, and then she got to go and bugger off again. Suddenly now, she's expected to carry an entire film. To give it, and this is actually quite controversial as well at the moment, its official title is Birds of Prey, and the Fantabulous Emancipation of One Harley Quinn.
Right.
That's the euphonious and elegant title that it's been given by the studio.
Okay.
It's been marketed by some cinema chains in the US as Birds of Prey, Harley Quinn. I'm sorry, the way around, Harley Quinn, Birds of Prey.
Okay.
Right? Because that full title is rubbish.
Yes.
And Birds of Prey.
So that Birds of Prey tells you she's not the only female character it's a bit of another ensemble, isn't it? I've seen the trailer.
Well, you see, this is one of the big problems with it. This is one of the big problems. It starts off, it's just about her.
Okay.
Just about Harley, and you've got her doing this very, very overly mannered, mad persona, and she talks in this very angsty sort of New York way that's a little bit infantile at the same time, which is kind of annoying. And there's a lot of voiceover. She's saying, and then after the Joker died, I no longer was with Mr. J.
Right.
And there's repeated callbacks to a character who doesn't appear in the film anywhere. So you have to know a little bit about the fact that she was once in thrall to the Joker. But we never meet the Joker, mercifully, because that was dreadful in the first film. But this time around, she's now trying to make a thing for herself, but she falls into the thrall of Roman Sionis.
Right.
Played by Ewan McGregor, which is, and he's somewhere between Rob Lowe and Don Johnson, but creepier than the two of them put together.
Okay.
He's actually not too bad, but she ends up in thrall to him. You've got a young girl who, for reasons that would take far too long to explain, has swallowed a diamond. Yeah, and she's actually great. Cassandra Cain is the character played by Ella J. Basco. You've then got Rosie Perez plays Renee Montoya, who they actually point out that she is every cliched New York cop.
Okay.
To the extent that they actually point out that she can only get things done once she's been suspended and she's handed over a badge and a gun. So they actually point out how cliched she's meant to be. So they're kind of doing it tongue in cheek. But there's also a character who is variously referred to as the Huntress and the Crossbow Killer.
Okay.
And these characters sort of weave around each other and never really quite connect until the very, very end.
Oh, okay.
When they finally decide that they're going to be the birds of prey.
So, can I just ask a question here? Because
I can't guarantee I'll answer it.
Because we mentioned the Joker earlier on, and the Joker is another character from the same DC universe.
Correct.
And whether you like Joaquin's performance or not, that was a very, very dark reading of that character.
Pitch
black.
God, yes.
The trailer that I've seen of Birds of Prey appears to be keeping some element of darkness, but also some scatty kind of humour.
It can't decide. That's the problem. It's never as dark as Joker.
No,
because I've seen Tar that's not as dark as Joker, to be fair. Northern Norway in the middle of the night wasn't as dark as Joker.
Right.
But hi to all our Norwegian listeners, just to get that in there, right? But
hope you will.
Yeah. but you've got this time, instead of having, like I say, very leering male director, you've got Kathy Yan as the director this time.
Yeah.
And she treats her characters with more respect, treats her actors with more respect.
Right.
And also Christina Hodson is the writer. But what they've done is that they can't decide what the tone's going to be.
Yeah, yeah.
It starts off, like I say, you've got Harley doing her everything's hyped up to extra crazy kind of thing at the beginning.
It looked, was it camp? Because the trailer made it look a little bit camp at times.
At times. So when she's doing her voiceover stuff at the beginning of the exposition, you've got cartoon insets into the screen.
Yeah.
There's one bit, and I don't think this is too much of a spoiler because it's not really plot critical, but there's one bit where she decides she's going to go and shoot up a police station, so she takes in a shotgun, but it shoots out glitter. I think that might be in the trailer.
Yeah.
But you can't decide then. Are they trying to soften the violence? Are they trying to cartoon the violence? Because in other places, it's actually quite nastily, graphically violent. Yeah. And so it can't decide.
No. See, that glittery stuff made me think of the actual TV, 1960s, very camp TV show.
Yeah. Except that you're supposed to imagine that this is somehow metaphorical killing of police officers in a police station.
Yeah, yeah.
There's one bit where there's a sort of 1950s Hollywood song and dance routine. Exactly.
Okay, that was a raise of the eyebrows.
Yeah,
if you were listening.
You think Parasite swerves? Oh, this thing goes all over the place without actually going anywhere. So I took with me a friend who desperately wanted to see this film.
Oh, okay.
She said that she absolutely loved the first film,
right,
which kind of made me worry, to be fair.
Yes.
Question her judgment right there. She said she loved the characters of Harley Quinn and the Joker in the first film, and she couldn't wait to see where this one was going. She was really excited. And about 2/3 of the way through, she leaned over to me and she said, "It's not really going anywhere, is it?" I said, "No." She said, "It's really dragging." And so it's not just me being snotty about this film.
Yeah. Well, if you can't decide what your tone is and what your sense of the film is, then you're in big trouble.
No, and that ultimately was the problem. Is it didn't know from one scene to the next what film it wanted to be, and there were moments when it was kind of okay.
Yeah.
It wasn't unmitigatedly dreadful.
Yeah.
But it was never particularly good.
Yeah.
Either.
Okay. Right.
I mean, it was not as relentlessly awful as Suicide Squad was, but then let's face it, I mean, coronavirus isn't as unmitigatedly awful as Suicide Squad, which was just unforgivable. It was woeful. This is merely seriously. Yeah, I mean, the way you put too much energy into it doesn't even deserve that much, to be honest. And also, like I say, it's not the ensemble that it makes itself out to be in
all right, so look, you know what? I wasn't that keen. I saw the trailer and I thought, I'm not so sure about that one. Listening to your cogent analysis, I'm inclined to give it a miss.
Well, I'll tell you, there's one bad sign.
Yes.
That we go to also the preview screenings.
Yes.
Where they lay on sort of hospitality and stuff, right?
Yeah.
Now, do you remember before when we saw Richard Jewell?
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember what they provided?
I think it was some popcorn.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. For Birds of Prey, open bar, ice cream, popcorn, you name it. Right.
Okay.
What does this tell you?
They're desperate for a good review.
If you have to get your audience liquored up before you let them into the screening, it's not a good sign. And there were people howling with laughter.
Okay,
but
yeah, okay.
My friend and I were not among them, so
Okay,
that's not a good sign.
Okay.
So that enough of living in the past.
Okay, good, lovely.
Let's very very quick word about what's coming in the near future.
Yeah. Okay, please. Yes.
So the we've mentioned this already. Actually, it's worth mentioning because we still do actually have a couple of free tickets to give away.
Okay. Well, that's definitely next year. Yeah.
Whitesnake and the Scorpions.
Okay.
Bit of hair metal from the 1970s and 80s are going to be at Spark Arena in Auckland on Thursday the 27th. It's not too late. If you're listening to this and it's not Thursday the 27th, yes, it's probably not too late to go to cravepodcast.com and enter to win free tickets for that show.
Okay, good.
We've got a couple of pairs of free tickets to give away for that. But the big one, and I don't trying to remember if we've mentioned this before. I don't think we have to mention it again regardless.
Yes.
I don't know if this is necessarily your tempo, Simon,
Yeah.
but these are acts that I've seen myself in New Zealand in the last couple of years. We've got Weezer.
Mm-hmm. I've seen Weezer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they opened for the Foo Fighters a couple of years ago.
Right.
We've got Fall Out Boy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know of them, but I haven't seen them.
Yeah.
Yep.
I saw at one of the big sort of everybody from anywhere festivals at Mount Smart a couple of years ago.
Okay.
And then Green Day.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw that. Yep.
They were in Auckland about 18 months ago.
Okay.
And they put on a fairly good show. And they've also got as special guests, the Beths, who were at Laneway this year.
Ah.
So yeah, it's definitely.
And that venue is?
This is going
Western
to be.
Springs, is it, or?
No, this is actually going to be. Well, first of all, it's going to be Forsyth Bar Stadium in Dunedin on November the 20th.
Right.
And then it sounds like a Western Springs show, doesn't it?
Well, when you get those multiple acts, often.
Yeah.
Maybe. Anyway, okay.
But it's going to be Mount Smart Stadium.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and that's going to be Sunday the 22nd of November.
Okay.
Now, the lower end of the bill, yeah, not bad. But Green Day, I saw them about 18 months ago at Spark Arena, and they do put on a jolly decent show.
There's still a three-piece, aren't they? They're three-piece,
Yeah,
is
yeah.
that right? Yeah.
Yeah. And the song American Idiot remains as troublingly prescient as
It's not going away.
and curiously,
Actually,
they're playing right around the date
I
of the
was going to
election.
say.
Sorry, I stole that one from you.
Yeah, no worry. No
Yeah.
worry. Okay, very good. Oh, that's worth mentioning for sure.
Absolutely.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
So that's what's coming up in the very near
Right,
future.
so that and lots of other very juicy information about tours and of course all our reviews and concert photography, Steve's work, Elton John and other shows is at our website, cravepodcast.com.
So if you've got any comments about any we talked about, if you've got any feelings about how Elton John should have handled his reschedulings, if you want to tell me I'm wrong about Adam Lambert, you wouldn't be the first, but I'd love to hear it.
Yes.
How do people get hold of us, Simon?
Well, there's a number of ways, Steve, but
Do share.
the old-fashioned email, I suppose you can say email's old-fashioned these days.
It is these days, yes.
podcast@cravepodcast.com.
Yes, if you're feeling a bit more modern, we're all over the socials at Crave Podcast.
Lovely. Okay, hey, thanks for listening and watching. We've enjoyed our discussion of Elton and other matters this evening.
It's been fun.
And we'll see you again. I'm Simon Mercer.
I'm Steve McCabe.
That's what's been entertaining us this week.
Certainly is.